But meanwhile, everybody can be safe. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I renew my motion.
Representative Hardaway renews his motion. Any discussion on the bill? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Speaker and sponsor. Thank you for that explanation. While I understand the intentions of this bill, I do not believe that this is a good bill. I do not believe that in the posture that it is now, that it should be passed. I think that this is seeking to address real harms, as you have mentioned, that have happened in the stories that you mentioned, which are painful in their own right. And the tension that legislation like this brings about when it comes to GPS, when it comes to monitoring individuals, is the question of liberty of people who are alleged perpetrators of a harm, and also the desire, and this has come up before, for us to ensure the safety of our community. Here are the parts of the legislation that are deeply problematic and why at this point I cannot support it. And again, you and I have spoken about this. I've offered an amendment to try and approve some of this that was not heard by this body. So I just want to make this very clear. If you go to this legislation, section 2, number 4, it says the alleged victim's right to provide the magistrate with a list of areas from which the victim would like the defendant excluded from going to or near. Two words that are missing is alleged victim and also alleged defendant. But the fact that they are missing is problematic for anyone who knows anything about criminal justice. This already presupposes someone is guilty before proven otherwise, before having a trial. Where in our country, being innocent until proven guilty is a bedrock, fundamental, foundational principle of our criminal legal system. This legislation does not meaningfully, adequately, intentionally address the issues. And the misuse of language is presupposing and already making people guilty who have only been sent to jail and who are awaiting a bail or bond hearing. Everybody who's in jail is innocent until proven guilty. It is not up to anyone else outside of the judge, outside of a jury, to determine that innocence. And we should not pass legislation that is asking for us to allow alleged victims or anyone outside of the judicial system to determine innocence. There are many people, disproportionately Black and African American people, including one of my own constituents, whose case was thrown out after they paid a $10,000 bond because the judge ruled that they were not guilty. But this legislation, and I get it, right? We want to empower our victims. We want to empower people who have been the victims of crime. We want to ensure that they are protected. I understand that. But this legislation, sponsor, is not doing that. If you go to the next part that I take significant issue with, and the reason why I would wish that you would roll this or something to later, because colleagues, if you go to the same section of this legislation, section 2, number 5, it reads this way: the fact that the victim's communications with the magistrate concerning the global positioning monitoring system and any restrictions to be imposed on the defendant's movements are not confidential. Let's think about this. An alleged victim under this legislation would be able to say, I don't want this alleged defendant near my children's school or daycare or our church. That information is not confidential. The victim's information about the places that they do not want an alleged perpetrator of a harm to go are not confidential. How is this not giving people who might do harm the laundry list of locations of exactly where to go to do harm. The old legislation is antithetical to its purposes. It needs more work, sponsor. I ask that each and every one of us for this time do not vote for this and think about that victim. Think about the victims.
Representative Hardaway, you're recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. And to my colleague, the law needs more work. I think that this particular bill is ripe for consideration by the body, and I'm always willing, as you know, to sit down and work and to improve the existing TCA so that we do balance, and it's a delicate balance, the rights of victims and the rights of the accused. So your words are heard, and I'm looking forward to working with you going forward. Thank you, sir.
Representative Dixie.
Thank you, Mr.